The winter solstice is upon us in the Northern Hemisphere, or the summer solstice if you're down under. But either which way, this is an astrological event. We call this the Solstice Ingress chart, and it's when the sun moves to 0 degrees of Capricorn. And it tells us a story that lasts for 3 whole months. And in this video today, I'm going to tell you how the sun coming to 0 degrees of Capricorn is in a very rare condition at the bending of the nodes of fate, in particular, the bending of the South Node of fate that's currently sitting in the sign of Libra. This is a very rare and exceptional solar ingress chart. We haven't seen one like this for 18 years. So what I'm going to talk about in the sky is how this impacts the world at large, how it impacts you in a personal way, and how it might give you a foretelling or a forecast of the general themes of the next 3 months as we approach the March vernal equinox or the spring equinox, and that will be a whole new chart called the astrological new year. Now, I did an astrological new year chart already. I'll put the link below. I did forecast in that astrological New Year chart in March that Joe Biden would step away from running for the presidency, among other things that have occurred, including a woman rising to power. And in that case, Harris was running for the presidency as well. But we also have now women in power in the administration for Trump, including the first ever, what do you call it? Chief of Staff, which is Susie Wiles. So either which way, women did rise to power. But you might want to go back and listen to the Aries ingress chart as well, because it's still this umbrella chart under which this smaller segment of the last 3 months, the grand finale, is playing out. Some things I'll highlight for the world at large, likely the death of a well-known world leader, king, somebody in power. That can be anyone, anywhere, everywhere from, say, a King Charles type character to even Jimmy Carter, former head of state in the United States. But it's going to be a major deal in the next 3 months. For example. So that's just one way the chart can be read, but there's so much else going on there. I'll be sharing a lot of minor asteroids with you today, and it's going to look very busy. So don't worry about that. I want to simplify the chart as well. So I want to show you what the basic elements are. Because I'm a traditional astrologer, I do not use planets in inversion. I do not look at the angles that are not connected to the place where the solstice is happening. So keep in mind, we're going to simplify the chart for that reason. We will not show all the planets in the sky after the first few seconds or so. And finally, I'm going to show you a map of the world. I'm going to show you where the energies of this sun are aligning during the next 3 months. And no surprise, a lot of the energy of this solar chart on an astrocartography map runs right through the Middle East. So that is not a surprise, but it puts the Middle East big time on the map, especially with the Libra South Node being the bending point for this solstice, because the nation of Israel and its leader both have Libra influences. The prime minister of Israel is indeed a Libra sun, and the ascendant is in Libra for the nation formed in 1948. So again, the biggest theme in the next 3 months are massive shifts and changes in the area of our world that we call the Middle East, and all of the trauma and drama that's going on there, and travesty and tragedy. Now, we can also note that because Libra does mean peace, it could indicate a resolution to the conflict at last, or not. We will have to figure this out as I look at the sky together. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I use the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, fixed stars, and minor asteroids. In fact, speaking of fixed stars, not only do we have Antares and Regulus and our Aldebaran involved, we even have a slight nod of all things from Archangel, well, from the fixed star Fomal house. So we actually have the big 4 Persian royal stars all activated on this solstice, another powerful indication that this solstice is changing the world. It is not just changing the United States or Russia or any other place. It's changing the world. The world is seeing something new. In fact, there's a part of the sky where one of the nodes is sitting. It is called, which is the South Node, which is called the supergalactic center, where there is a super powerful black hole in Libra. And so there's a huge shift, a vortex of some sort coming through the sky for the world in 2020. Winter solstice 2025, the 21st of December through to around the 19th of March. Let's take a look at the chart together. If you're new here, like and subscribe. I start off with world event astrology. It's called mundane astrology. If you don't like that material, there's no big deal. No one's forcing you to stick around. You can click the chapters, click the title of the video, and it'll break down how you can jump to your sign timestamps, or there's timestamps pinned courtesy by me in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you are new and you haven't liked and subscribed, give me a try. And if you would like to time your best life more than just the next 3 months, my entire 2025 individual and all sign bundle videos are currently on my ho Santa sale or Christmas season sale, and you can get those delivered to your inbox once you buy the product, or it's a downloadable access to a PDF. And this downloadable, it gives you access to 12 videos or 1 video. Each is up to 2 hours long or more. It includes an audio download, a video download, a PDF guidebook for your sign written by me, and access to private links. And believe me, that's a lot of quality content for very low prices. I'd like everyone to experience this, and it is my fundraiser to help me with my channel and to afford the equipment I need and some help like timestampers and video editors to support me as I grow. Thank you so much. I'm in December. If you're still subscribed, double check, because this is every December, June, and December at least. I get the old bot scrub by YouTube. They're telling me, yes, we're just getting rid of dead accounts and scrubbing dormant accounts and fake accounts. Bullshit, but it's back again. So December is daunting every year. So is June. So if you don't mind checking to see if you have been unsubscribed like you are a bot, please do. So I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. It won't be by the end of the year at this rate, but maybe early in the new year. And you could be an ally in my goal to receive that level of subscriptions. Thank you. Let's go ahead and look at the sky. It's going to look a lot like a hot mess. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. It is because I have a ton of minor asteroids here. I am going to simplify it very shortly for you. So just close your eyes and not look too closely at what looks even to me like a lot of action going on here. Now, the solstice is when the light is equally, the days are the longest, right? So, I mean, the shortest. That down under, the days are the longest. It's your summer solstice. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, in the cosmology of light and dark, we are having the longest, the shortest day of light, right? Ending. So a solstice is when the light begins to return. And so in that sense, because the cosmology of Western tropical zodiac is based on a Northern Hemisphere cosmology, the archetypal meaning is simply that the light is starting to return after a time of darkness. And the time of darkness would have begun in June when we had the summer solstice, the time in which the daylight was the longest days and the longest light of the year begins to wane. And ever since the midsummer of June, it's gotten darker and darker and darker and longer, more nights and less daylight, right, in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you think about the cosmology of that, we could say that it's a time in which the light is disappearing and we're going into the darkness, which can be construed the difficulty. The winter is coming, you know, Game of Thrones, but it's also the time of the fallow, the inner, the reflective, the time when we go to transmute something, because there's nothing to grow right now. There's something that has to be, you know, fallow and dormant in the dark, right? In the dark. But now the light is showing up on a very practical level. Anything that's been in the dark for humanity that we haven't understood collectively or individually can become more visible and more lit up, right? So what is in the dark? What are those drones anyway? Was the election in the United States interfered by Russia or not? You know, blah, blah, blah. Anything that you consider to be in the dark, right? So then can become in the light as the light begins to increase on the solstice of December 21st through to its highest maximum amount of light in June of next year, 25. All right, so that's the basic cosmology of the idea of the solstice. It's not a bad idea to set intentions, almost like a dark moon, you know, around the time of the solstice to plant the seeds for what you wish to have happen in the next year or the next 6 months after, as the light increases and brings light, like light and water, to your seeds that you plant that you need for it to grow. So instead of New Year's resolutions, do solstice resolutions is what I'm suggesting. Now, this busy sky, let's just get the nuts and bolts down for you. Okay, let's annotate. Here is the sun ingressing into Capricorn, 0 degrees. That's called the winter solstice. This is set for Washington, D.C., because it is a country that 55% of my subscribers are from. The remainder are Canada, UK, Australia. Yes, the English speaking countries, then they diminish in that direction. So I do a lot of astrology for those countries because those are my followers. I try, of course, to cover world events as well beyond our countries. Here, you can see that we see that in Washington, D.C., when the sun enters into the Capricorn zone around 4:20 a.m., in the darkest of the night, AM, that we see the sun is below the horizon. This is the morning, this is the sunset, this is the sunrise, and that's the ascendant. And it's still dark outside. The sun is rising by moving this way. Okay, the sun will come up this way. Now, this is indicating a couple of things to me. First of all, what heralds the rising of the sun? A planet always heralds a rising in the sun, but typically we don't always include Mercury because he usually is a herald for the rising of the sun. But we can say that if we use Mercury as a herald for the rising of the sun, because half and half time he isn't, then Mercury represents news and information, and it's on the ascendant of the United States on the star Antares. The United States Sibley chart is a 12-degree Sag rising, and Mercury is heralding information, news, but in detriment without all of the details for the United States of America. The rising planet is also in the sign of money and resources that the nation holds in its coffers. And there's an opposition to Jupiter in the part of the chart that represents the banks, the banking industry, and the stock markets. And because when we see the solstice ingress happen, we also have this energy square to Saturn. And the Saturn square is always about economics and macro forces of government, economy, finances, and politics. There are major things going on in the United States in the next 3 months to do with economy, markets, banking, and governments in general. Because Saturn is in the place of the underprivileged and the displaced, and including migrants and refugees, including borders and control of borders. Pisces represents the borderland between things. There is indeed a lot of focus in the next 3 months on issues in the United States to do with securing the borders and conflict economically along its borders of Mexico and Canada. Well, of course, that makes sense because Donald Trump has promised to put tariffs in place against USA, against Mexico and Canada, unless we tighten up our borders. So there's a lot going on in Canada right now with our prime minister who may step down, but I don't think he will. He's a narcissist and a martyr, perhaps, but he will have to because there will be election called according to the astrology in February, March by Jagmeet Singh, who's waiting for his pension to vest. He's the one guy who has the power to have his people vote in a non-confidence vote against Trudeau. And he's holding it up because his pension as the NDP third-party leader becomes vested or available to him in the month of February, March. And if he loses his seat, he doesn't get his pension. That's how politics works. Yes, it's about the people and their interests who are leading, not about the people. Unfortunately, we may be stuck with Trudeau, or Trudeau may step down and someone else may rise to take his place as a proxy prime minister if he actually retires out. But his deputy prime minister just quit. So who will that be? She's the finance minister and the deputy prime minister. I will do a video separate for Canada. But those election videos or those politics videos standalone are not good algorithmic boosts for my channel. People, they get very low ratings compared to the all signs. So that's part of my challenge. Please bear with me. Now, the other thing I want you guys to notice here is that we're going to see that if we did not include Mercury, who else is heralding? Juno, the goddess of marriage and partnerships. Well, possibly this can indicate for you and me individually that the theme of who do I want to be vowing to, I take a vow of business allegiance, a vow, a contractual agreement, a marriage vow. Who do I want to make vows to? What kind of vows do I need to make and want to make? And I will do them in a Martian way. Mars rules this Juno, and he's up here with Minerva, the goddess of knowledge and wisdom. So making bold, declarative decisions and actions in partnerships for many of us might be a major theme. And it's going to be doubled down with the bending of the nodes of fate theme that I'm about to describe to you. Because it is the South Node at the bending. This is the South Node. This is the North Node. These are very critical points in the sky. Let's take off that mess, okay? And let me start it over. This here is the North Node. The North Node is with Manway. I don't use Manway. Okay, I'm not a big Manway person, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Manway is one of those outer planets near Neptune, and it has something to do with, spiritual evolution of humanity or something like that. But he is right on the node of fate, and we can't ignore it. And over here, we have the South Node at the supergalactic center where there's a massive black hole. And over here, we also have another feature. This is the asteroid that we want to talk mostly about. And I'm going to get to the asteroid as well. But I also want you to notice this. Watch what I'm about to do here. There is the sun. That's Cupido for passion next to him. And that's Pallas Athene for strategy and war, strategic things in war. And she's also important as well, and victory in war. But also she's connected to knowledge and wisdom as well. These two are opposite, which is what the nodes always are, opposite each other. And this is like a square. A square or 9 degrees is what we call a square. A T-square, but it's also in the ancient tradition, the bending. And this is the south bending. So the sun is connected to the Libra South Node. And in that sense, this new beginning for 3 months, the solstice new beginning ingress chart says it's not about what we add to our lives, it's what we let go of. South Node is to surrender, to release. Sometimes it involves disappointment. Sometimes it involves a sense of loss. Sometimes we choose to flush it down a toilet. It's the excrement part of the serpent's tail. It's the butt end. And so the dragon's pooping out what we don't need and want out of our life. And it's interesting because it's on a star. Well, no, it's on an asteroid. We're going to get to that. But what do you need to let go of in Libra? Okay, Libra is about alliances. So like BRICS nations are a Libra story, okay? We're going to see that coming in because South Node means alliances failed. Saudi Arabia did not renew the petrodollar contract, for example, with the United States. Old allegiances are falling away. New allegiances have been forming. And that's politics of Libra. Libra is also about commerce and commercial activity, the scales of commerce. And there is a big turning point here. Something is changing. Again, I always said economic hardship could be beginning to show up in like the employment numbers or the productivity numbers or the banking industry numbers between now and the middle of March, the third week of March in the world or in the United States. Certainly in Canada, that's true. But we're in a global recession. Most people don't recognize that. It's already here for the Western countries. Look at what's going on in Germany. Also, we have the issue here of what we need to let go of in one-on-one relationships. And yes, Libra means that. It's like the archetypal you and me marriage type partnerships, contracts of those natures. And because the South Node is here, there's a lot of us who will choose to let go of some significant love relationship in our life, independent of your sign, or some kind of alliance or contractual agreements, including work, including business partnerships. It's time for the surrender and the release in order for you to move forward and move towards an energy of what the North Node in Aries is asking of you. So I'm going to take this mess off again, and I'm going to talk about the asteroid that's sitting right here. Oops, I don't want to annotate. Let's stop annotating. I hate making a hot mess, but the asteroid here, guys, is Apollonia, like Apollo, Apollonia. And Apollonia, asteroid number 358 on the south bending node, and the bending being activated by the sun in Capricorn at 0 degrees. And this can only happen once every 18 years, 18 to 20 years, because we need to see the nodes at the place they are now. Apollonia, there were 24 Greek cities with this name, and the name means belonging to Apollo. It's the ability to synthesize broad-mindedness, taking a higher road, a calming composure, and to shed light on the darkness. I already talked about the sun is shedding light in the darkness. It's getting brighter and brighter and brighter between now and the height of the long days in the Northern Hemisphere. So there's something about shedding light. And it's, 24 Greek cities with the name belonging to Apollo. Apollo was a sun god. A sun god means a leader. Some of you Democrats are not going to like what I'm about to say. Donald Trump is born with his ascendant on Regulus, little king, born to rule, fame, power, glory, riches, and fall from power, from hubris and pride. He already fell from power. He also has the asteroid Apollo, which represents leader on the ascendant. He is here to be an Apollo sun god figure, a world leader figure. Now, Apollo goes more than that story. I mean, the story of ancient times when Jesus, when Rome wanted to make everybody Christian, and Constantine said, "We're going Christian, everybody," instead of making the pagan cultures and their religious deities bad or wrong, he pulled everybody together. And so what he did is he made Jesus an Apollo figure. If you know the story of Apollo, the brother of the huntress herself, Diana, Apollo had the gift of prophecy and foresight. Apollo had many talents. So there's something about, of course, Jesus was telling people the future and what may come. And, so I guess that the Romans thought, Apollo, and Apollo was youthful, he was a young god, and Jesus died when he was 33. So a sun god, right? The son of God. So Jesus is Apollo energy in terms of what Apollo is and what it has been melded to mean, but it's also sun god. Now we talk about that, and just bear with me. I am not, what do you call it, MAGA. I am not QAnon. I'm Canadian. I'm watching with my popcorn and empathy what's going on in the United States of America. When Donald Trump won the election, the asteroid Winter was crossing through his ascendant. If that alone should have had me call it, I should have called it. But I want to say something. When people think somebody's going to save them, they become a savior. And with Apollo, the sun god, on the ascendant of Donald Trump, he is cast by many to be a savior. Whether he can save or not save is irrelevant. The ascendant is his character in the game of life. It's the avatar, the role he's here to play. Leo, king, Regulus, little king. Regulus was at 29 degrees when he was born, the star, fixed star, Archangel Raphael, royal Persian star. Well, the royal Persian star is extremely important, and it is absolutely activated in the United States chart on the ingress chart of the solstice. Why? Watch what I'm about to show you. This is extraordinary. Okay, this is what I want you to see. And I will get to your sign. Be patient, because I'm going to tell you, number one, I'm going to predict some things here. Number one, there will be a world leader passing away. This is the asteroid Requiem, king leader, fixed star Aldebaran, just a very powerful royal Persian star. A notable, high-level, very successful world leader passes away in the next 3 months. Could be anybody. Is it Trump? I don't think so. His sun North Node is up here in the 8th house. I know he may face another assassination attempt, likely March or April, based on his chart. He's not out of harm's way, but I think he will prevail. I do not think he will be assassinated. I could be wrong. So I will say, yes, it could be him. Shouldn't have said that word, algorithmic suppression, the A word. But also watch what I'm about to show you. This, because that's the asteroid Requiem, a famous person's funeral. Requiem was activated when Queen Elizabeth in her chart was having her big funeral from her passing. So somebody of leadership power will pass, but who knows who? Who knows who? It's in the house of Donald Trump's chart. Like if we look at Trump as a Leo rising, it's in his 11th house. So it could be somebody he knows, somebody he's a friend with, but it's also in the house of open enemies and adversaries to the United States. And it's also in a part of the chart that represents, for someone like Joe Biden, Sagittarius rising, some of his open opponents. So, there's that as well, but it could be anybody. It could be Jimmy Carter. It could be Biden. It could be some world leader. Let's get back to what I want you to see. This is what matters. This was what matters. This is the midheaven, the high noon, the point of power and leadership based on a Washington, D.C. chart. Why Washington, D.C.? Because if you look at your solar ingress chart, all of us, from the place in which you live, for in Vancouver, it's a Libra rising. It's a Scorpio rising in Washington, D.C. In Vancouver, Canada, L.A., it's a Libra rising at the time of the ingress. The rising sign at the time the ingress casts a chart for the locale you're in, and some of the qualities it plays out for the city or state or province in which you're born, right? Or the place in which you're born. So for the United States capital city, the seat of power in the United States, this is a Libra, this is a Scorpio rising, secret, stealth, what is hidden. Yes, ruled by Mars, wisdom and knowledge in the public eye. This is very disclosure. That's big disclosure energy of documents. This is like the Hall of Records, the Library of Congress, disclosure. I mean, disclosures of top secret documents, because Mars rules stealth and secrets and CIA and spies in Scorpio and dispensing into the public knowledge. There will be major disclosures in the next 3 months of things that were hidden from public view. And it's going to be the government itself that does the disclosing. Most likely, yes, so it could still be whistleblowers as well, but very likely the government is speaking in the House. This is the government's ascendant rising of the ascendant of the United States in the House of Speech. The government is speaking out. And now Donald Trump said, I'll look into the CIA assassination of Kennedy, assassination of Robert Kennedy. I'll look into the UFO files and release them. You know what I mean? So if Trump's in power, we will have more revealings and disclosures of things that probably have been hidden from view. A lot of chatter that there's going to be a turnaround, that somehow it was a miracle and that Harris will take the reins or Biden will reclaim them. No, I do not see that in the astrology. I can't find it no matter how hard I look. So just saying, I'm looking for, I can't find the kind of evidence you need for an earth-shattering change of direction, okay, in the United States, Constitution. Is there an inauguration happening on the 20th? I believe so, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to notice is up here, the midheaven is connected to Regulus. The star has now moved from 29 degrees of Leo when Trump was born to 0 degrees of the sign of Virgo. That star is on the midheaven. This means that Trump's ascendant is right here, okay, in the 10th house of the solstice ingress. If your identity, if your ascendant sits in the 10th house of a sky in a solar return chart, you are leading, you are in power. But this is an ingress chart for the nation's, the place of the nation, the White House, the political bodies, the legislative bodies. And Trump has his ascendant, his character, his identity, his king-like Regulus ascendant in the 10th house of this chart. He will be in the seat of power. It's simple, it's clean, and it's easy to see. Sorry about that for some of you very democratic followers of mine. It doesn't look likely that his ascendant in the 10th house means he's not there. But the midheaven is also connected to this moon, the people. Now, in a normal chart, the moon represents the public. In an election year, it represents the electorate. When you're looking for, will something have public or mass appeal, we look to the people, the moon. The moon is with the place of leader. The moon is with the place of the leader. The people are with the leader. Could be one way to make a code of that story. Now, there are multiple ways to code that. I do not want to sound like I'm stretching it. It is a waning crescent moon. The moon was full. No, sorry, it's a waning gibbous moon. The moon was full, right? The moon would have been full over here. When the moon was over here, the moon was full. The moon moved to about here. Yep. So I got to do the math because I'm terrible at math. So give me 30 seconds to count. 0, that's 30. Yeah, okay. So we're past the full moon. So it's the gibbous moon. It's losing the light, and it's called the shaman moon. It's called the Shaman Moon by Stephen Forrest. And that means that for those 3 months, the world is under the light of a shaman moon. A shaman moon is about death and coming to terms with mortality and looking deeper below the surface to the mystical and the more, the more raw parts of life. So we have a shaman moon, we have a mystical moon, we have a moon that's more intimate with death and dying and themes of death and dying. And that mystical moon is square Jupiter, and that is a king or leader. So part of what we deal with is the people in a requiem, a funeral for a world leader in any place in the world. Any place in the world. Is it Trump? Maybe. His sun and his North Node in his natal 11th house will be over the 8th house of death in this chart. This is, though, a prediction that only lasts 3 months. So by mid-March, if he's still breathing and there's not another stab at him by yet another assassin type, then we will see him probably prevailing. Now, I think he will prevail based on his solar return chart next year, but I could be wrong. The other thing I want to notice here is that we have the whole midheaven in the sign of Virgo, and that's health. And health matters to do with leadership and public and popular appeal. Well, that's going to clearly be easy to spot. It's Make America Healthy Again. It's the RFK mandate, the new health system to encourage less junk food, less poisons on the crops, more nutrition, more solid soil growth, more plans to increase it. And, let me just say one thing. You may not agree with the politics of the Republican Party or Donald Trump, but making America healthy again, one of the few countries that hasn't banned Monsanto's glyphosates, which is Roundup, which is toxic and destroys the liver and kidneys and everything else. From the agricultural system, most of Europe has banned it. Canada's got the ban ready to launch soon. It's like it's already been approved. It's just another example. The organic vineyards of California are contaminated by the wind, by this product, and it's poison. It's poison. So what I want to mention is that on the day of the inauguration, coming up, we have the sun, and we have Pluto. You can say plutocrats, oligarchies, you can say what you want about that. But those two planets are still together. And Pluto's in Aquarius, the sun joins on the inauguration day. But we still have Ceres, the god of grains and agriculture, is hanging out in Aquarius. And this is indicating to me a very strong call towards a reformation of the industry of agriculture and the way products are contaminated by fungicides and pesticides and desiccants, which is what Roundup is, and how that has poisoned the population. And we'll see a big change in that as a result of this new administration. That's what the sky is saying, right? That's my view of the sky. So back to the chart. Last thing I'm predicting, and then we're going to do your sign. I am a world's prediction type. I'm a Cassandra too. It's tough doing this job, guys. Let me not complain, but I said Vance would be the pick for Kamala. I said Biden would step down. I said that in March last year from running for office. And I said Trump would be assassinated. And I gave a time frame, attempt to assassinate him. All of those things came true. And then I did say that I thought Harris's chart was stronger than Trump's. But when it was Trump versus Biden, Trump was winning. When Harris came in, it was very confusing for multiple reasons. A fundamental rule of astrology was two rules of astrology were broken. And they're predictable and they're useful. When the North Node and eclipses happen in the 10th house of a leader during an election cycle, they should win. That happened for Harris. She didn't win. When Saturn is going through Pisces, the house that means the party opposite to the one in power, in this case, Republican, Saturn depresses that party, and then that party usually loses. Two major rules were broken that are very reliable. However, when that rule is broken, something has fractured in the zeitgeist here. That rule about the North Node, because Trump won the election when the sky said we favor Harris, then it means that the person who won will die in office. So he has 4 years to be in office. He can become critically ill or die or be the A word in the next 4 years. That is the pattern that happens under the sky. I felt like we had a timeline split. I felt discombobulated as all hell for 3 days afterwards. So I was just like shook. But I will say that me and a few other astrologers I know who had thought Harris had the chart for a win. It was on November the 1st, I cast a horary for Patreon community, and I had it scheduled to go out on the day before the election onto my YouTube channel. I pulled it down. The horary astrology tool said Trump would win. And about 4 or 5 other astrologers I know had a similar experience of just before, and card readers even, just before the election, within 4 or 5 days, they all of a sudden saw the sky differently, or they saw something new, and they went, no, wait a minute. Oh, no, I got it wrong. So there's something that seemed to happen, like a timeline shift. Have you ever watched Man in the High Castle? It's like alternate future where the Germans and the Japanese won the World War II. We're in an alternate timeline. We fractured into a timeline where the Trump administration is in power. And I guess I could say there is a timeline where Harris won, but that's not the one I'm living in with you right now. We've split together here. Here we are. We're in this alt reality. So that's a thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think timeline splits happen, or am I just delusional? Okay, I'd love to know how you guys feel about that. Did anyone else have a different feeling? The night that Trump won the election, I went to bed at 9 p.m. in Vancouver, Canada time. That's Los Angeles time. I had no idea who was going to win. I woke up from a dream at 4 a.m. Pacific time, and Trump had won the election in my dream. I saw the party, the celebration, and I knew before I even got out of bed and asked my partner, I said, Trump won, right? And he goes, yep, Trump won. So these kinds of things are, but then yet I felt deeply discombobulated for the 3 days that followed and the day before the election, like as if I'd gone into some kind of high jitter, high anxious, weird discombobulation, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I've never felt that way except for around 9/11, before and just after. Same energy of my body. So it was almost like a fracture in reality, I think. Okay, lastly, what the hell is going on over here? I'm going to think Chiron, the wound, and house, wounded house. Well, wounded house is pretty vague, right? Like, what the hell is a wounded house? And in the United States chart, it falls into the house of celebrities and famous people and the entertainment and fun and party industry. A wounded house could be a wounded housing market. A wounded house could be the asteroid house in Chiron, the wound. Some kind of wound regarding the word house is best I can do. Okay. Keep that in mind. There's a wounded house energy in the next 3 months. I can only think a downturn in the housing market as the only thing I can imagine that could be, as a general principle. Housing markets are in contraction. No, they're no longer at all-time highs, at least in Canada, they're not. I don't know. In the United States, I don't think they are either. And the other part of this next 3 months would be the possibility of, this is the asteroid for revenge. It's called Nessus. It's in the house of the party not in power. So now that's the Democrats have lost power. So revenge from the Democrats toward revenge from the Democrats. That sounds just really crazy, eh? Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase something. This is a wounded house in the Sibley natal chart's 5th house, but it is in the house of sickness, but also the labor markets. So a wounded housing industry connected to the average working class individual, maybe the next 3 months of the sky. But over here, in a general principle, we're looking at the energy of the party opposite the party in power. And so therefore, maybe some attempts for vengeance or revenge or whatever towards the current administration, although I'm not sure how that could possibly play out with the Republicans holding, all parts of the government, all three, the legislative bodies and the executive branch. But there is a sort of a vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, down here of some sort. And that could come from the entertainment industry, from celebrities, from famous people who are railing against the outcome in the election over the next 3 months. And then finally, in this ingress chart, you'll notice, and then I'm going to do all signs, you're going to notice something here. There's a lot going on that's not just about the South Node. In Washington, D.C., as the sun is entering into the 3rd house of the United States of America, which represents how the government dispenses information to the public in press briefings. It's the house of the media and the social media and how announcements are made, etc. As this is the way the energy is playing out vis-a-vis Washington, D.C. over the next 3 months, and sun energy can be leader, and that is indicating with a trine to the midheaven, there's a lot of public announcements made by the new administration in the next 3 months, okay, that are going to find a popular seat with the people, perhaps. But also over here, the South Node is also in a stellium. That's Arcturus, a very powerful positive star, the Vestal flame of sacred devotion, and the asteroid Atlantis. This one is a mystery, but because the South Node releases and lets go, and therefore is kind of like a surrender energy, it is sort of possible that we might see some kind of uncovering or surrendering of information. Libra represents books, library, Libra books, written content, the word, about something to do with lost civilizations or the mysteries of the past, or catastrophic civilizations that have gone under the water or something, or under the earth, or have disappeared from our view. And that would be magical. I do see in 2025, I'll be doing my big bold predictions, some sort of underwater or even under the Antarctic discoveries. So keep waiting for that video. This is using astrology. And so we'll see if that's true. Finally, before we finish this up, I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we are complete, I promise. And the key points to this chart, just so you know, I'm taking in all these minor asteroids, and you'll see why. I'm going to show you the astrocartography of the solstice chart. Now, I find this stuff absolutely fascinating because it's usually absolutely crazily accurate. Oops, I thought I took those out. Sorry. I'm just taking out a bunch of the minor asteroids because otherwise we're going to clutter up. I'm going to leave in Atlantis. I want to see where we might discover the lost city of Atlantis. Is anybody interested in that? Finding that darn lost city. So we're going to take out the stars. They're just cluttering the space. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. All the Persian stars are up. Goodbye, Algol. We still have Algol there. No Manway. I didn't even bother with Manway on the North Node because we're at the bending of the South Node for this. And we're going to get rid of Requiem. Well, no, we'll leave Funeral in there. We want to see who might be dying. I'm going to get rid of a Minerva. I'm going to keep Apollonia in there. I'm going to get rid of, well, I'll keep House in Atlantis in. Now, I want to know where the wounded house is. Is it housing industry? Now, I'm going to take the map, and I've got this. Oh, darn it. I don't think the software lets me show you what I'm seeing. Let me screenshot it. The software doesn't screen share this part very well. Let me try it, though. Will it let me share? I probably have no clue how to share. Oh, maybe it does as a screenshot, right? I think that's a screenshot. So it seems like when I want to share the AstroGold software, I have to do a screenshot. Okay, good enough for now, right? This is the world. This is where all the planetary lines for the transits of the ingress chart flow throughout the world. And you can see a lot of interesting stories, but most importantly, we're talking about the solar ingress chart. And there's a sun line going right through the part of the sky that represents the Middle East. Okay, so you can see right there, this is the Middle East. Iran is over here. This is like literally the Egypt, Middle East, Israel whole conundrum down here, Lebanon. So we have a solar line moving right through this part of our sky. And therefore, there's no doubt about it. This is a hotbed up here, right up here, right up there. I bet you that you can't even see that color, but I am trying to make a colored annotation, but it'll do. So up here, we have where the sun is going through. And we can also see that the sun, as it makes a line here, has some other elements going on. This is a Neptune line. Deception, confusion, illusion, delusion, also martyr, spiritual war, war to do with religious values. If you're going to have any conflict there, Neptune brings it coming from sort of martyr, savior, what do you call it? Religious intensity, best words I could use for it. Spiritual intensity, maybe. And also, who else is there? My eyeballs are going off. Oh, and Cupido and Athena. Athena is knowledge and wisdom. But she's also war. She's the goddess of victory and war in the Roman tradition, Pallas Athene. So we see war, sun energy, and passion, Cupido, going at like a hotbed right through the Middle East. And that does not mean peace to me necessarily, although strategically Athena could strategize for peace and strategize for peace treaty. So let's not lose hope yet. Let's hope for the best in this story. The moon, of course, is the people, and we the people, and we the people in the moon, moving through Africa, coming on up. That's a lunar line right here. I don't know if you can see that. And so the lunar line is going to head up into this part of the world, which I believe is Russia. So there's a lot going on with Russia and the people of Russia as well. What about this story I'm about to show you? What does it mean that we have the planetary body of things that can be discombobulating, we'll call it discombobulating, or unsure or uncertain, or unexpected or surprising. Okay, those are the words I'm going to use, and that's Uranus. I have to get rid of the annotations. It's blocking my screen. This is Uranus here. He's a purple line. He's going up, 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 and he's crossing right through this part of the world. So let me annotate that. And that could mean unexpected and shocking surprises or developments right here. This is going through Central America. That's very Panama Canal-ish. It's going through Florida and the Florida Keys and the Panhandle. And of course, Trump has Mar-a-Lago. It's going all the way up here into New York City, New Jersey. And of course, we're having the UFO hotbeds or the drones. So that's already playing out now. It probably increases between now and the 31st of March. Yes, of course, some of them are probably man-made drones or military drones. Some of them are orbs of light and plasma balls, and they move in ways that are impossible for a plane. And there's a lot of that going on at the same time. So it's not an either or, it can be an and it connects to cycles in history that we're going to increase next year and the year after, where we have UFO sightings. And this is a predictable Neptune cycle, Saturn cycle, and a Neptune-Pluto cycle. And I've done a whole video on that, and it flunked in the algorithm. People care. I actually changed the name of a video with Adam Ellenbus for something with the word AI and aliens and UFOs in the title, because I had 30% less views than usual. I moved it to rare 500-year event in our sky, Pluto, blah, blah, blah. And then it went to only 8% less views than usual. So this is a very, very disinterested audience, you guys. You don't seem to care about drones, AI, UFOs. You don't. I don't know why. You can tell me in the comments why you don't care. But that was a dead weight in the algorithm. That's all I can say. And so who knows why. World Astrology Report, Dan Waits puts one out, and he has his first ever viral hit, but his people don't wait for their all signs. They just care about world and news. And I'm giving you guys both. And I think that's part of my problem. I need to start a separate channel just about big world astrology. Lastly, in the solar ingress chart, Mars is in the 10th house, which is representative of things to do with leadership. And by the way, if I was to take Donald Trump's chart and move it over the solar ingress chart, because of the placement of the asteroid house and his IC, et cetera, it shows that Donald Trump is having a change of house. Donald Trump is having a change of house. Yes, he's going to move into the White House. All right. I didn't even bother throwing that one into the evidence basket. Now, if I'm wrong, I quit. I retire from astrology. All right. He's moving into the White House. Sorry. You guys know who you are. There are card readers who had no subscribers, and they spent the last, 8 weeks since the election ramping up to massive subscriptions. I mean, tarot readers, prophet seers, whatever, even some astrology channels. And the problem is it's all running on fumes of promising their followers that there's going to be a turnaround in this United States election. And it doesn't see how it could go well after that doesn't come to pass. So I'm just going to see what happens. This is Mars, and he's in the 10th house right here. And that matters because this represents in the United States the house of the leaders or the government or the powers that be. And what Mars is doing is he's swooping through the border between the United States and Mexico, indicating friction at the border, control of the border, skirmishes and arguments about the border, cutting and severing and ending things connected to the US-American border. That's exactly what Mars is doing in this chart. But he also swoops up to the Canadian border as well, but honestly, not nearly as much. And it's just a little bit south of Toronto, Canada, down by the Great Lakes, Michigan border to Canada, where Mars is cutting through, indicating, and Ottawa, indicating our national city, that there still is the thing with the tariffs in Canada, but that looks much lighter because it's not as pronounced as the United States swath of Mars through the Mexican southern border. So therefore, that's where the majority of change, conflict, intensity, new developments will take place in the next 3 months, where Canada might be on some kind of delayed discussions to smooth it out with the United States. I think there's going to be some more harsher measures implemented regarding the relationship with Mexico by the third week of March by the Trump administration. But Canada is by no means in the clear. By no means are we sitting pretty in this storyline. Everywhere Venus goes, we tend to have good things happen. We get peace. We get harmony and we get ease. And Venus is up here. Look at her go, guys. And she's in Aquarius in our current sky. She seems to be bringing some kind of situations of harmony through, this part of the world. There's not really much conflict going on there, although this does include parts of the world that involve Russia. So there can be the end to the Ukraine-Russian war, is my take on that. I'm going to go deeper into that. I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to look at my own astrocartography map. So I did see that the asteroid Atlantis is flowing through the part of the sky that takes us to Greenland. So what is under all that ice in Greenland? Okay, so let's see if we have a lost continent recovered from the Arctic sheets of Greenland melting. The second thing I want to say is that when I talk about the lines of peace in Russia, there is definitely peace, the end of the Ukraine war, but the asteroid for Requiem, for a world leader, moves through Australia. So I don't think requiem means like stepping down from power as much as it means like a funeral. But we can also see that, oops, not what I wanted to show you, that Russia is definitely looking at peace and the end of this war. Now, you know, much as you might not like Donald Trump for various reasons, and I completely get it, you know, I wouldn't want to have, you know, him as my best friend, that's for sure. I mean, it's really clear that his mandate that he ran on, whether he's telling the truth or not, was to end the war in the Ukraine and to end what he calls the forever wars. And so I'm going to show you the peace in the Middle East. I mean, the peace in the Russia area. I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to pull that up. I took a screenshot of it, and then I'm going to finish this, and we're going to move into the all signs portion. And I did take a screenshot, and it doesn't show up on my desktop. You got to be kidding me. All right, so I'm just going to tell you what I see. Moving through Russia, Leningrad, Moscow, etc., is the asteroid Requiem, a line for Requiem and a line for Jupiter. Death of a king. There is a death of a king moving through Russia. It's close to Leningrad. It's close to Moscow. Death of a king. Requiem. I don't know. Putin. Maybe his health isn't so great. Number two. There's two Venus lines crossing through Russia. One is a direction line, one is Venus rising, and they crisscross near Moscow. So Venus and Venus, of course, is peace and peace. So there will be, I predict, a firm end to the Ukraine-Russia conflict coming through before the spring equinox on the third week of March, based on the sky, based on the chart of Washington, D.C., who are the peace brokers for that peace in the next 3 months. And as for the Middle East looks like a hot mess. It really looks like a hot mess. So even though the sun is at the bending of the South Node, which is in the same sign as the Prime Minister of Israel and Israel's nation's Libra South Node, I'm not convinced that things look really great there. I have to go into a second video, a deeper look. I have to put the charts of Israel up and stuff. I don't have time for that today, but I think I can firmly predict that the Russian-Ukraine war is coming to a close based on the next 3 months ingress chart in Washington, D.C., and the astrocartography maps that I just was looking at. And so that's what I've got for you. And now we're going to do your sign. And I want you to listen for your sun, moon, and rising. And all three are valid. Sun can be career and purpose. Moon can be home and safety and nest and emotions. And the rising sign is everything about you. I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to append my back end, which I'll record tomorrow. And this is early access ad-free intro for my Patreon community today on December the 19th. You guys get this on the weekend as we talk about the solar ingress chart and massive changes in the world next 3 months. Thanks for listening. I will see you in my next videos, but don't forget to check the all signs out. And I've got a video coming up about Chiron turning direct, which is a big deal because he's turning direct, stationing direct at the exact degree of the total solar eclipse. This is not a small deal. This is huge energy coming up at the end of December. So stay tuned for that. And plus we have a end of the month moon. It's really, really important and very powerful as well. So we're going to talk about that. So those are other videos coming up ahead, and my all signs forecast for January will be up the last weekend of the month of January. So stay tuned for those as well. And I have my all signs videos predictions for 25 also released a couple of days before this on a Thursday. Go check your signs predictions for 2025. These are half-hour videos. They're much shorter than my 2-hour videos that you can order instead, because it's just the highlights of the 4 things you should pay attention to for your sign in 2025. 2025. Bye, guys. I'll stick on the all signs next. Welcome to part 2. We're talking about your sign and the solstice forecast, which is a 3-month forecast. We're going to listen for sun, moon, and rising. Sun, career and purpose. Moon, your body, sometimes your mind, emotions, and certainly things to do with home. And your rising sign, kind of everything about your life on the circumstantial level. It is like the avatar in the game of life, and your sun can be the game player. Now, let me say one more thing. There's a great little solstice ritual I just heard about from my sister, and I'm going to try it. Why don't you? Write down on 3 pieces of paper 10 things you wish to accomplish in 2025. Wish fulfill. Fairy godmothers right there. What do you want to have happen in 25? Use this like almost like a New Year's resolutions, but not quite. On the 21st of the month, write down, or whenever you hear this video, write down the 10 things, put them in a bowl, fold the papers up. Every day, draw one from the bowl. When you draw it, don't look at what's in the folded paper, throw it in the garbage, flush it down the toilet, or burn it. Do this one day, every day. On the very last day, 10 days later, January 1st kind of vibe or New Year's Eve, what are you doing? You are looking at the last piece of paper. And that last paper standing is the idea that this is what the universe, the divine mind, your highest self wants for you the most. Therefore, you take aim, do the one thing. This is what matters. This is where you have complicit help, cheerleading and team spirit universe guides to help you achieve that thing in 2025. Does that sound like fun? I'm going to do it. And when I get to the 10th day, I will tell you what my last piece of paper standing was. So, we want so much fame, glory, riches, love, health, home, money, whatever. This is going to narrow it down. This is the thing. This is the one thing that truly, truly matters for you. I think it's going to be fun. Let's go ahead. I'm going to do something special, reminding you the solstice is the increase of light, the ascent of light. The sun is at the south bending in Libra of the node of fate. What do we need to let go of in order to move toward the north node Rahu in Aries? What we have to grab hold of. That's the basic all sign delineation. I'm adding the asteroid Hecate and Atropos. Atropos is the spinners of fate, Clothos, etc., is the one that cuts and snips to atrophy, to atropo. And that is where we really need to make a strong cut away from something that we no longer need. Atropos is in a tight relationship to the solstice ingress sun, and also Hecate, the triple thresholds witch, mother, maiden, crone, but also the goddess of coming to a crossroads decision in our lives and taking that fork in the road less traveled, the thresholds goddess herself. So we'll be talking about where there's a crossroads in your life where you might need to cut or snip something. And we'll also, of course, be talking about what you need to let go of in that Libra part of your sky to increase the light, the ascent of light in the Capricorn part of your sky. I anticipate the next part of this video to be about an hour long to get a decent grasp on your sign. And so stay tuned for that if you're trying to time this in the live premiere. And if you're in the live premiere and you would like to my channel and subscribe and hit the notification bell and share this video, I do appreciate it. Every December and June, I get a massive dump of scrubbing all the subs out of my channel that they call dormant accounts, fake accounts, and bots. When I call them, they tell me they're doing it. I think it's just an algorithm. No one's actually doing the work. It's like an AI algorithm they put in place a year ago, 2 years and a half ago. They told me they were putting that in place. Problem is that it scrubs you away and you're not a bot. So please check to see if you're still subscribed. That does help me as well. Now, here we are, December 21st, 2024, around 12:25 p.m. The sun is in the sign p.m. Well, I want to go back. It's actually going to cross over around 1:25 a.m. Okay, Pacific Daily Time, Los Angeles time. But I had to advance the chart to Aries. So this has got me now in the afternoon of December 21st. You see the sun is still at 0 degrees of the sign of Capricorn. The sun normally takes a degree a day. It moves by a degree a day. All right, so let's go ahead, Aries. Number one, take a look at the fact that you have the ascent of light in your 10th house of career with co-presence of strategic Athena. She's associated with legal matters, strategic thinking, almost AI intelligence, and a kind of connection often to authorship and books. So are you going to focus on writing a book? I am. Is there a sense you want to be more strategic in your career? Over the next 3 months, this is true. Why 3 months? Because, of course, we're waiting for the spring solstice. This is always a 3-month prediction. So we're talking about the next 3 months, okay? December 21st to the 3rd week of March. And you're also looking at letting go of something. Is that your audience, marketplace? Is that your business or love partner? Why would you surrender, let go and release that so that you can increase the light and the strategy and the purposefulness of your career and reputation matters? You might let go, like I am, of one-on-one work. Libra represents one-on-one. I am no longer seeing as many clients as I used to, and next year probably far, far fewer. That's because after thousands and thousands of clients in the last 6 years, I am no longer wanting that focus. I want to focus on writing books, teaching classes. So letting go, surrendering, and releasing is of your business partner, of your marriage type, long-term relationship. Who knows why? But it could help your career, and also of your way you reach your audience, marketplace, and clients in your life. That's a surrendered space to increase attention to you, in particular your physical health and wellness. Every Aries, please listen. Sun, Moon, or Rising, I don't care. You got a Chiron Hygeia energy. Let me put Hygeia back in. I accidentally deleted her. Bless her soul. And this is about tending to the body, tending to the physical and mental and emotional wellness, Hygeia, of your life. And there's a lot of focus that needs to be pulled away from attention to others in the next 3 months and attention to yourself. And in a way for healing, do you have a wound about the asteroid houses with Chiron? And so you might need to tend a wound around where you live, and your health can be improving by finding a healing of the home. Maybe you need a home near nature, a home near a gym, a home with less chaos and noise, but there's also attempt to heal matters to do with your home life and home itself. Now, what about Atropos? And of course, every solstice is governed by Saturn, and Saturn is in the 12th house of self-undoing. The next 3 months can be extremely useful for you to release self-undoing addictions and bad habits and patterns, and destruction, any revenue you make from far off foreign shores and lands and the people who live in them, including like what I did, incorporated. Don't forget, the solstice Saturn story is here more than 1 year. It happened last winter solstice. It'll happen next winter solstice. So you keep going back to Saturn governing the solstice from the 12th house of self-undoing, but revenue from far off places and lands. Now, Atropos, the snipping scissors of fate, is right here. And this is Hecate, the triple thresholds witch. Now, let me just say this about Atropos. Come on, baby, open up. I want to read it to us. Usually a double click will open the baby up. There we go. Atropos, asteroid number 273. The eldest of the three Moirai, Greek goddesses of fate, who chose the manner of death of mortals by cutting the threads spun on her sister Clotho. Final endings, completions, what you need to bring to a close, the conditions around the final act. So what do we need to snip? Okay, snip and cut, sever, close out, right, in our lives. So let's go ahead and talk about you. Aries, you have to get snipping away something to do with work or health, pets or rental properties. Now, I mean, sure, you could snip a rental property. The moon is a ruler of the domicile, and it may mean the universe of fate will snip you away from your current home if it is a rental, or your landlord and your tenant may snip away. Otherwise, you could snip away from a pet ownership situation, or you could cut away or end or snip away from something to do with the way you do the work you do, or something that is inhibiting better health, like an addiction, self-undoing, or bad habit or pattern. So a lot of cutting away and ending there. And also you can see that this is Hecate, and she says it's a threshold time, and the chunky money house is an activation from the career space. How can you secure money that isn't just the everyday paycheck that belongs to others? Royalty income from a book publishing deal. Why not? Mercury's in the house of publications. Things connecting to ad revenue, investment monies in the stock markets, money you get from things to do with your inheritances or shared resources with business and love partners. That kind of money is coming into a turning point of some sort, because the 8th house is also the house of occult mysteries, including tarot, astrology, hermetic arts, and wisdom. There may be some kind of ghosty witch. She's like a witch, Hecate, telling you to pay attention to some of the occult matters more deeply in order for you to be a dispenser of knowledge and wisdom in your career, or to be more strategic about your career using those occult tools and techniques, because you're at a crossroads in some sense. And this crossroads is involving the Artha houses, 6 and 10 work houses, a change in the work, a crossroads in the work, and the way you do the work you do. And the next 3 months should show you some of these themes playing out. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, every year, the ascent of light, the Capricorn ingress of the sun happens in your ninth house. And your ninth house is the house of God. And this is also where the sun has its joy. And every year you get to come into a place where the increase of light in the ninth house is so sweetly positive as it flows to you. A lot of Tauruses love Christmas. I know one Taurus who's a Christmas nut, you know, the way he lavishes his children with stockings and stocking stuffers. And even one year sent me a bunch of stuff. And there's just a sense that Tauruses are really in alignment with the spirit of Christmas or the spirit of Hanukkah or whatever, the spirit of your holiday season. And the sun is in the highlight, the highest places of the sky, 9, 10, and 11. So you're really featured here very strongly, the ascent of light in the house of God, an ascent of your spiritual path, ascent of belief in a higher power, ascent of your purpose and dharma. I give you any advice, Taurus, every year, you can increase your alignment with your dharma or your purpose in life during this winter season. But also in the 3 months that follow the solstice. Every single solstice ingress is a predictor of the next 3 months. We bake in the story. So December 21st to around the 19th, 20th of March, that's the window of time in which a sense of meaning and purpose is going to be highlighted. But with strategic Athena, knowledge and wisdom and books, you may be reading some new books. You may be getting a book published. You may be focused on a pilgrimage to far off land. Pilgrimage is our ninth house. You may be finding a very learned knowledge and wisdom guide, mentor, or teacher coming your way from that ninth house Athena solar energy. And you may also look at legal court cases and judges being very much a focal point in the next 3 months with lawyerly strategic Athena on your side, so you could come out on top. Saturn rules every single solstice ingress, and this one, he does it from the place of your 11th house of good spirit, asking you to dive into what your deepest wishes and dreams are in the next 3 months. The same question was asked of you last year on the solstice, add 3 months. It's being asked of you again, and even next solstice. So Saturn is saying, I'm in Pisces. We care about your dreams and wishes and goals and bringing form and structure to them. We care about the long-lasting, enduring friendships that you really want to keep, and we'll get rid of all the rest. So over the next 3 months, consider where your friendships no longer work. Look more strongly at what goals and dreams you have that are no longer useful. Go back and listen to the intro to this all signs section where I give you a great ritual to try around the solstice, around this kind of theme. And fun is fun. And then we're going to look next at what you need to let go of. The South Node is saying over the next 3 months, can you let go of this 6th house matters? It can be a job, it can be a job situation. It's time to release it. Or would you be letting go instead of your connection to a domestic animal? Are they ready to leave? Or would you be letting go for the afterlife, letting go of a property rental situation that no longer serves you? Would you be letting go of a karmic relationship and a karmic debt relationship in your life? And as you release this and let go of this in the next 3 months, you move in an orientation to the solitude and the spiritual questing and the deep spiritual liberation that's possible in your 12th house. This is a good axis for letting go of a particular addiction. Chiron, Hygeia, our health and medicine to heal an addiction, and house could indicate from your family of origin or to do with things you do alone at home that are bad for your health. How much are you drinking, smoking? What bad addictive substance misuse disorders may you eliminate as a result of this next 3 months? The North Node puts your focus in that cave-like 12th house. Cave time, solitude becomes very fruitful for you in the next 3 months. Now, you'll notice that you have, and it could maybe a restriction of social groups and social outings as you clear some sort of self-undoing habit pattern or addiction. Now, also, I put Clotho and Hecate in. You may be at a crossroads moment, a thresholds moment, a fork in the road moment in your long-term committed love stories. If you're not with somebody, that's a different story. But if you're with someone, this relationship, does it need to be snipped or not? Because Hecate is the thresholds, crossroads, and the snipper in the house of romance is, of course, Atropos. So the one with the scissors in the house of romantic and sexual love is collaborating with the crossroads goddess in the house of long-term committed relationship. And indeed, the sun as well. It forms a mini grand trine. My software won't draw it for the minor asteroids. And this is indicating that there's something good trying to happen. You're going to be more on purpose, more aligned by what you let go of. It may be snipping away from one of your children. Maybe they're moving out of the house. Maybe they're moving out on their own. Maybe you're moving away from them. And that could be a snipping in that relationship, especially with the moon here representing motherhood or, nurturance. You may snip away as a Taurus from a legal contract or agreement. You may have a crossroads moment with legal contracts and agreements and vows, which is the 7th house connected to courts and judges. But if you're snipping from the 5th house of joy, fun, play, and pleasure, or entrepreneurial business, you're snipping so that you can be more successful in something that has to increase the light in the 9th house. Again, I already delineated it. One meaning of the 9th house I didn't talk about, Taurus, is that it is the house of book publishing and higher university academic settings. And that's where the ascent of life with Brainiac Athena is, indicating a possible move for some Tauruses to go into an educational direction in the next 3 months. Now, do you have to go back to school in the next 3 months? No, you have to, or to school for the first time, but you may be considering that as an option, getting your ducks in a row, say, to apply for an education that brings some joy to your life. Something that harnesses your creativity, your natural abilities, and your talents. Okay, let's keep on. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky here, what we can tell you about is the solstice. It's the ascent of light, the increase of light in your 8th house. Your 8th house is a house of your chunky money. And we have a lawyerly Athena here and a strategic chess player. What it means is you might be looking at your stock investments, your taxes, your corporation structures, the money you share with your spouse, the money you share through royalty income, ad income, etc. These derivative incomes that are shared with others. Think about it this way. You buy a stock, you're a shareholder. It's not your paycheck from your boss, or your company. So this money is going to be ascending in its light. And it means that between now and the 3rd week of March, you're going to increase your focus there. And there's going to be an increase of light there. And strategic Athena says an increase of strategy in this way that this money shows up. However, Athena is connected to the occult mysteries here. And so you may be learning or teaching or studying more about some particular occult mystery area of interest. Tarot, astrology, and gene keys, numerology, ghost whispering. And that could just show what you're focusing on at a deeper level and drawing more light to it, or even writing a book on this, with Athena being very much about authorship in my practice. I've seen it. Authors and authors-to-be will have Athena activations. Now, you can also see that we have something to let go of. The South Node in Libra at the South Bending. The sun is at the South Bending. By virtue of letting go of some kind of attachment to romantic love, a child, to your creative projects, to a business endeavor, something needs to be released or surrendered in the next 3 months. It's time to let your hand open to let something go, so your hand is open to receive something new. Let one love story go for a new one to emerge. Let one relationship with a child that consumes you go, have a lighter touch, so that you can open up something new, or creative project that's dead in the water, or business entrepreneurial directions that are hard for you now. Let it go, because the North Node is saying we expand instead into the 11th house, influencing groups, teaching groups, Chiron, teaching groups, mentoring groups of people, being a part of a new, larger social circle that's in alignment with the key to purpose in your life, finding circles of friendships that are going to be very healing for you in some way. And with Asteroid House, you could say a group of belonging that makes you feel at home. Your career gains are here. You can increase your career gains in the next 3 months financially, and your reputation increases as well. Saturn rules the solstice in the 8th house. And so by attending to that strategic moves regarding resources and finances in your career that are not a paycheck, I told you, ad income, royalty income, residual income, sign-on bonuses, severance packages, whatever retirement funds can be that you draw on can be in your 8th house by focusing on an increase of light in that part of the chart, which you do every year, December 21st through to March 19th, last solstice, I'm a Gemini progress sun. I got I knew I need to incorporate and found an accountant to help me incorporate during that window of time. So you're focused on those matters, but you're really focusing on your career. You want to play the long game. You want to reach a mountaintop. You don't want to burn out, but you might be. And this Saturn transit ends in 2026 for good. But each of these solstices are, every time we have a solstice, this year, last year, and next year, we have Saturn in our 10th house. So there's a lot of focus I'm a progress Gemini sun, for the career, right? How you wish to be masterful, how you wish to be at the peak of some experience in your career, knowing that eventually you go down the other side. What goes up comes down. So it's for a time, a season, and a reason, but you will descend this height, coming through 2026 and move down that mountain. Some people will retire. What about Clothos? And what about Hecate? I love this. So the sun, of course, is an aspect to both this one, Hecate, and over here, the snipper Clothos, the snipper of fate. Please go listen to my solstice ritual at the intro to the all signs as well. It's worth it. It's really a cool idea. You want to snip something that has to do with home, especially with the moon co-present during this story, snipping the home. And it's funny because Hecate is in the house of rentals. So if you're in a rental property, for some of you, this may be in the next 3 months, a clear signal. It's time to leave the rental property, snip away, or end that, or it will be snipped anyway. It may be just faded because, of course, atropos, did I say atropos down here? Atrophy is atrophying the house, it's coming to an end. So the home, the house, things are coming to a snip here. And so you might be aware of that by the time we get to March 19th. You need to, of course, think about this energy of letting go in the fourth house, snipping away. It's always possible with the fourth house activation that we're talking also about family of origin storylines, especially connected to the mother, house of the mother, the moon in the house of the mother. So you may also snip away, sever, and cut stories in your childhood connected to your mother that are in the way of your greater financial success in life. And so some of those can be psychologically and psychospiritually worked on in the next 3 months. A lot of times people don't know that material world, materia, mater, mother are all interconnected, and that our relationships to our mothers inform our levels of prosperity. I know a fella who was adopted at birth and felt really traumatized by his really cold and distant adoptive birth mother, and a bunch of trauma around being the adopted child when a real child was born, and the adoptive parents loved and the mother loved the real child more. And this person has been perpetually poverty stricken all of his life, has not dealt up the mother wound. So the mother wound that gets in the way of prosperity for you and material success, mater success, will be something you can work on proactively as a Gemini sun, moon, or rising. And that's about all I have for you. I would say definitely there's a possibility of a thresholds moment to do with where you live, but also to do with what work you're doing in the world. We will note that we see that the thresholds goddess is in the house of work and service, and there may be a pivotal changing of the way that you do the work you do as well over the course of the next 3 months. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, the solstice every year happens to be the ascent of light, the increase of light in your 7th house. This is where every year, every Cancer can have the opportunity from the 21st of December through to the 3rd week of March to increase the focus and attention you pay and the power of your long-term committed love and business partnerships and your relationships to significant people in your life. And so every year this becomes a place of energy where there's a lot more light shining, beginning to increase here. And with Athena here, co-present and actually conjunct the sun, you do see a lot of focus of the ascent of light with Athena saying, what kind of strategies do you need to take with business and love partners, and how you reach a client audience marketplace? How do you need to be more strategic in the relationships like that, and look at that from a long game strategy? This with Saturn ruling the sun as it rises into more light in your 7th house. Saturn last solstice, this solstice, and next year's solstice will be in your 9th house of God. And this is also asking you to pay attention to your long-term committed love relationships and joint purpose, spiritual philosophy, and faith. Certainly, if you're single and looking for love, maybe the next 3 months could bring love in a educational or foreign country setting, or from someone in a foreign shore, likely with an age difference, given Saturn represents 7 years younger or older. But if you're with somebody, how is this relationship more aligned with, or can you align it with a similar philosophy, a spiritual alignment? Legal contracts, deals, and negotiations the next 3 months regarding publications and book publishing in general can be a very strong focus in this cycle next few months. You're letting go at the bending of the node of fate to release or surrender or flush down the toilet your home. Now that sounds pretty dramatic. No one's going to flush their home down the toilet, but Libra is for you. Your home, property, land, and real estate matters. And because the South Node says let go, it doesn't have to be that you sell a home or move away from a home. It can be in the next 3 months a strong consideration. Whether you do it or plan it is irrelevant. What does matter here is that you may also let go of a situation in the home, or a person may leave the home, even just a child denesting from the home. And with the thresholds goddess Hecate here in the house of children, for some of you, it may be a releasing of a connection to a child, a situation a child is in, or their release from you and the home, because perhaps you are moving away or your child is moving away from where you are. So those are examples, because there's a thresholds, crossroads moment in the 5th house of children. Also in the house of sexual and romantic love in the next 3 months for some of you Cancers, a major turning point. But it's positive because this turning point thresholds goddess is flowing to the sun in the house of marriage, and there may be a turning point in a positive way with the romantic and sexual energy in a longer term committed love story. What I also can say is you have the snipping of fate, a tropos, someone who snips the cords, the yarns of fate. She's snipping, a tropos is snipping away in your 3rd house with the moon. This is complicated because this is the neighbors and neighborhood. Moon also represents home. Some of you definitely look like you're changing your home in the next 3 months, or planning and considering how to move your home, maybe even to a different neighborhood. But you may also have to snip a cord of attachment to a sibling, one younger than you, in some way, because this is where the cutting is happening. But because we hook up to the 5th house, it's done in a way that's a loving way, a loving snipping as a way, especially if a younger sibling is almost like a child to you and you have, a feeling of being parental, then there's a snipping of your energy from that situation. Maybe the ending of an agreement or even a karmic contract with that situation. Mercury is in the house of karmic debts, and there can be a snipping of a karmic contract that has debilitated you with an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, but most particularly a sibling one younger. I wonder too, if you are at all on social media land like I am, that media and social media is your 3rd house. And you might have to snip, cut, or end or sever some association. Moon is in her joy here in the house of the social media world for you, but still we have something we need to cut. And so you may be definitely snipping, severing, or ending something here for your own best good in the next 3 months. Because you're letting go of home or home matters, look where you're aiming, your career. You want to heal a chironic wound about purpose and career so that you're in alignment with purpose as you pursue career ambitions. At the same time, you can see that Hygeia says, again, healing the career path and maybe moving into a path in a career that makes you more of a healer. And being at home in that new career, maybe the asteroid house. Notice that with the educational 9th house active, and same with the 3rd house, major snipping of one and moving towards another, change. The crossroads of this space here can be moving towards a natural ability or talent in a learning environment in the next 3 months, considering enrolling in some new course of study, or if you're a teacher, creating a course that other people would like to be a part of. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing we have to note here is that we have the every year solstice, the ascent of light, is happening in your sixth house of work and health. And every year at this time, therefore, the 21st of December through to the third week of March, you may have noticed you go on cleanses, that you stop drinking, that you change your dietary style, that you make an exercise increase or something to improve health, or that you routinely find yourself with some new health challenge in these 3 months. But you will have health matters routinely show up here. And with strategic Athena, you're reading books and learning and finding knowledge to improve your health. But also, this is your work house, and the work you do in the world every year has an ascent of light. And this time you're being more strategic about how you do the work you do in the world, and you're thinking about strategic maneuvers here in the workspace. Now, also, the ending of something, the letting go in the third house, is where the South Node says, flush down the drain, maybe your social media exposure, your website. And my sister's thinking of collapsing her healing website to move into a new path in life. That's probably what she will be considering doing. Is it time to let go of that website, that social media exposure, that place where you are learning or teaching and no longer serves you? Let it go, because you're moving now, because this is the bending of that node into an increase in the ninth house of God. This is moving towards a deeper dharmic purpose, but also this is higher education. This is your colleges, campuses. This is where you learn or mentored by somebody for more than a weekend workshop. And it looks like a lot of you may, in the next 3 months, be thinking of some educational path that you wish to pursue, or some kind of extension of yourself into foreign lands and foreign shores, pilgrimages, for example, foreign getaways, long-term a time in another country. That could be something that some of you Leos are looking at in the next 3 months. But some of you are definitely thinking about what education is in alignment with your purpose and your dharma. And you may want to focus on finding that education in the next 3 months, applying to schools, looking online for what you want, etc. Figuring out the next move, really. Every single time we have a solstice, Saturn, the Lord of the solstice, has to sit somewhere. And this time, like last year, next year, he's in your eighth house. A lot of considerations are going on about the occult mysteries, but also your long game in money, your retirement funds, your investment structures, taxes. And you're really, those focuses last solstice, this solstice, the next focus, next are all about work and taxes. The work you do and the taxes you get, the work you do and the investments you can make, the work you can do and the retirement fund you can possibly create. There is also inheritances with Saturn, but only from an elder. So there's a possibility, like last solstice, that the next 3 months could conjure up some kind of elder in the family system passing on some funds to you, either in advance of passing away or after dying, either which way. Grandparents, great-grandparents, that kind of thing, or a very elderly parent, obviously. Now, what about atropos and what about clothos? Well, atropos is where we need to cut and snip, and that's in the earnings house. You're going to end, cut, or snip some earnings path, like you're done, and you're flowing to to Hecate. This is atropos. This is Hecate. Hecate, the triple thresholds goddess of a fork in your road or crossroads, is to do with your home, what you do in the home, from the home, or in the home, or who's in the home, or where you live. You might be at a crossroads moment about that in relationship to work, in relationship to money and earnings. And so there's a possibility some of you might think about buying a home, selling a home, or moving your home in the next 3.5 months or so. Well, 3 months, December 21st to the third week of March. And you may also want to change your dietary style dramatically because, of course, the sun is trining, snip, snip, atropos in the house of what we put in our mouth and what we ingest, and the moon says we eat what makes us emotionally satisfied. But now it's Virgo, so it needs to be emotionally satisfying, healthy food style. And we snip away all that isn't that. It's time to end the self-undoing in the food style, especially because this flows to the sun. There's learned knowledge and wisdom about what foods and food styles are best for you and your body. Because the sun does rule your body, right? You are a Leo rising. And so the sun in the solstice is always reminding you every year about the physical health of your body, the third week of December to the third week of March. Virgo, we're talking about the ascent or the increase of light that every year happens, every year without fail, in the Capricorn part of your sky. And this energy of the ascent of light in your fifth house every year can have you focus on pleasure, can have you focus on your romantic life and the connection you have to your romantic partner, or into a more creative, artistic, inspired space of being, finding joy again, finding more pleasure in your daily life, finding more inspiration in life. And as the light increases here, you might also be more inclined, right, to look for new love if you're single, to begin dating someone new. My Virgo rising daughter met her current partner during the ascent of light in Capricorn. So this next 3 months period, really, not just your now, but December 21st through to March 19th, 20th, you can find new love, okay, in a strategic way, which is funny. Athena is here. Strategic love searching. If you're in a relationship, it tends to increase the love and connection and pleasure and fun between you and the one you're with during this time of year. Another Virgo friend of mine always goes off to Hawaii with her man and travels into warm places every year, third week of December to March. And that's exactly how that looks for her. Your creativity and your business, entrepreneurial business light increases as well. Saturn, every time we have a solstice, will move somewhere new. And in the last solstice, this solstice and next year's solstice, he's in the sign of Pisces, baking in the energetic of a focus on long-term committed love, agreements, legal contracts, things to do with your marketplace and audience and clients and how you approach them. And that focus will be very much a target area for your attention in the next 3 months. Because this is a bending of the nodes of fate and it's the South Node that's being bent, the nodal bending, letting go of work, money making, career, or something you put in your mouth or in your nose, anything that you ingest. There's food style changes that could happen with this. There's also endings and releasing of current earning structures and the way you create money and resources. In other words, your job may change. And you also could look at this as a surrender or a release of things that you do that are bad for your body or health, because we'll get to that, of where the moon sits in this chart. Now, you want to increase your reliance on chunky money, spousal money, inheritance money, investment money, shareholder money, tax rebate money. This kind of money is going to be a focal point for healing, for increase, and for attention, especially that kind of money connected to real estate property and homes, asteroid house. And some of you with Mercury here obviously might make a deal to buy or sell a property as a focus of the next 3 months as a Virgo, rising in particular, sun and moon as well, secondarily. Hey, look, you got this snipping Clothos in the house of you and the moon, and that represents body as well. So a lot of you are snipping, cutting, and severing things that connect you to a body, your wellness, your health. What could you be snipping and cutting? I have no idea, but with the South Node in the house of what you put in your mouth and sometimes through your nose, that there's those things that go in you from the face that you let go of. What I think about the triple thresholds in the house of neighbors and neighborhood, or sibling one younger, major life turning points and crossroads or forks in the road coming up with an aunt, uncle, cousin, or younger sibling. Otherwise, this is a crossroads energy in the house of neighbors, neighborhood, trips, journeys, travel, and learning. So maybe some of you will activate a new path of learning that is a turning point of great significance for you. Otherwise, you may also be making changes in your life connected to neighbors and neighborhood. The third house is your daily activities, the gym, the grocery store, the bars and restaurants, and you're at a crossroads in relationship to those daily encounters in the everyday life. As my teacher says, Adam Ellenbus, the fishbowl in which you swim, you're at a crossroads about what fishbowl you want to swim in. If your fishbowl is at the bar or the pub every night, maybe that's an example of a change that will improve your body and your wellness. Ultimately, whatever you snip away brings you greater pleasure and vitality, joy, and enjoyment. And because the sun, every time it moves through the house of pleasure in this winter season, rules the house of self-undoing and addictions and bad habits. This is every time this happens, you have this chance for a real fresh start. The third week of December to the third week of March is your ideal resolutions of the new year, and stick with it because you can do that. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is an incredible time for you to experience this letting go of the South Node through the sign of you last year, last July of 23, all of 24. So you've been with this energy for a long time. I'm only bringing your attention to the South Node, Libra, because let go, let God, I release, I surrender. Make me an instrument, thy will and my will, or not my will, thy will. Okay, this is your story. Now let's bring it into the solstice story because it's very important. The sun enters into Capricorn and it activates the South Node, and that's a South Bender. This means that you are very ready to surrender and release and let go of something that you think you wanted or desired or needed. And you can open that palm up, let it go, like, right, can't receive when you're clutching, because something new will come in its place. The solstice is always a 3-year prediction. So we don't just look at it in the short term. We're talking 3 months. We're talking about the 21st of December all the way through until the 19th of March. It looks like you're going to let go of something that really doesn't serve you, that is connected to, right? Your roots, your home, your mother relationship, what you learned in your childhood, the childhood stories that dominated you, but you could even let go of a home. You could change your home. Now you got a lot of strategy with Athena, the author, the lawyer, the strategic mind in and from the home. And so look as ways to which those themes are very dominant in the next 3 months for you. It's almost like every year, this time of year, you can be very focused on career from and in your home. Now, one thing I would say about this is Saturn in the 6th house is saying, look at every year, last year, next year, and this year, Saturn will be in your 6th house while he is the Lord of the solstice. And this indicates that you're going to focus a lot too on situations to do with work and home, work from home, rental properties and home, pets and home. These themes are very prominent for you in the next 3 months. When you let go of something, you expand into more marketplace, more audience, more viable connection to the public. You expand into healing your relationship to relationship itself, to healing your relationship to long-term committed love relationships, and to your partner experiencing a healing as well, especially around health matters in their lives. If you're single, that's not true. Of course, you'll focus more on your marketplace, your audience, etc., in the next 3 months. Saturn is in a dating house, and if you're single, you could begin dating somebody in the next 3 months, and it could lead to a long-term relationship. You want to cut, end, and snip, and that's a tropos. And you want to also be at a crossroads in something. The crossroads turning point is in the money earnings house. You're at a crossroads about a job or a career path. It's maybe thinking it's time to complete, end, or snip that energetically. It is a threshold, and the snipping is coming from a tropos, the scissors, cutting the threads of fate, ending something by severing, and you're severing from the 12th house. Now that if you work for a foreign company, a foreign shore, or you make your money at foreign places or long distance revenue, then you may be considering snipping that kind of source of revenue. But also the moon is here. The moon is importantly the ruler of your 10th house of career. So you're snipping something connected to the career and reputation part of your life, right? Something has to go. It's time to let it go because you're at a turning point, crossroads in your earning structures and strategies. And some of you Libras in the next 3 months will probably let go of a current position or job direction or career path. So let me know how that goes. If you don't actually let it go in the next 3 months, you will be strategizing how to let it go. Okay, right, so let me know how that works. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Every year, the sun will ascend in light, increase in light for 3 months. We look at this as a forecast, the December 21st to the vernal equinox in March, the third week of March. We see it sort of baked in story here. I'm focused on the highlights, and you have this. 1, are you a writer? I don't care, songwriter, print writer. Do you have social media? Be strategic about it. This is also really good for in the writing, marketing, selling, but strategically, but also really good for becoming an author through something as a Scorpio that you wish to create in a written mode, or to publish something in a written mode. So there's a lot of that focus here in the next 3 months with the theme of solar energy together. At the same time, there may also be some strategic maneuvers around travel and getting away to travel in the next 3 months, whether the strategic maneuvers are booking the trip or taking the trip. Energetically, you would note that last solstice, this solstice, and next solstice, we have Saturn in your 5th house. So this is leisure travel, romantic travel that is being considered the next 3 months. And maybe last year in the winter, you went away as well. Winter of the Northern Hemisphere. This is Saturn in the house of children, and some situations with your children will demand attention in the next 3 months, but you have the strategy to handle it in some way, to communicate successfully to that child. And also focus on creative and entrepreneurial projects in social media environments demand a huge amount of attention, but you're looking for the long game, the enduring plan, the long tail success. Saturn is diligent and hardworking in the house of creative arts, and you are focused on that as well in a positive way in the next 3 months. What I like about this is truly that you have to let go at the bending of the node of an addiction, self-undoing bad habit. Quite often, that's literally an ancestral pattern, a past life karma, or literally the cigarette, the weed, the vape, whatever you do, home alone, often 12th house addictions, time to let it go. So you'll be letting go of some undoing for sure as you focus on better health. This is getting to the gym, eating more healthy, especially with Mercury in the house of what you put in your mouth. A lot of you are changing your food style. You're getting the information and knowledge you need to know how to eat right, how to let go of the things that aren't good for you, that go into your orifices on your face, and how to improve your health. There's a massive increase in focus on better health for you. Of course, it is the season in which people make resolutions, but for you, it looks like a sticking one because Chiron and Hygeia mean healing the health. Houses here, maybe healing the health in the home you live in, but you're healing something to do with your self-undoing. You're also healing wounds around your work and your work and career space, the way you do the work you do. Do you sit too much? Is it time to get up and walk around the office? Do you need to make a move away from the monitor? Do you want to make changes in the office environment that improve your health in the next 3 months? Home office or real office, it doesn't really matter. You're going to snip and cut and end and sever either a way you make money, the way you gain your career financially, money gains from your career, sever, cut, end, a tropos, or you're going to cut away a friendship, especially with the moon here. It could be an emotional connection to a friend or a group of belonging, and it's time to snip, sever, and end that. At the very same time, you're at a personal crossroads. Hecate, the triple thresholds goddess, is in the house of you. You are standing at the threshold, straight, left, right. Which road do I go on? You know you're at a threshold in the next 3 months. You're at the epicenter of the decision, but the decision is connected to the 3rd house. Writing, communicating, marketing, selling. The decision is connected to snipping a way of gaining money in your career. The sun is the ruler of your 10th house of career. Very possibly some of you are thinking of making a major change in the career direction and the way the earnings show up for you, so you can heal a chironic wound in the house of one's work. So that's one 3-month possibility. It does not mean that it has to happen. You may make the exit strategy or the plans for some new career direction in the next 3 months. You're ultimately looking for more emotional satisfaction in the way the money comes to you from the work that you do in this world. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Let's talk about this solstice. So as every year happens, the increase of light or the ascent of light occurs in your 2nd house of earnings, and money that you make, money that you save, things that you possess, your values, what you have in your life. Your 2nd house is what you ingest, and it's also your facial appearance. So these things become prominently focal pointed every year between December 21st and the 3rd week of March, as this light ascends in this part of your sky this time of year. This is strategic. You're being strategic about your dietary styles. You're being strategic about your money, savings, earnings, and possessions, but you're also lawyerly. Athena can act like legal guidance, legal advice in this capacity, and look for that as a theme that may predominate in the next 3 months. You have to look very clearly at the fact that you need to surrender, let go, or release something here. South Node bending in Libra from the second house. It looks to me like letting go of a friendship circle or group that doesn't serve you. More importantly, letting go of the career gains and the means in which you gain money from your career and reputation, if you have one. It's time to surrender that as well. The strategic part of it is interesting to me because Athena can be like a lawyer brain. And so you're taking a very strategic approach to how you release something in the financial part of your career story. So it's not like I just quit my job. You're being way more cautious or strategic around that kind of money. You might want to let go of a group that you belong to. A group of friends no longer serves you. You can't speak truly there because Athena says, I want to speak and I want to speak truth and knowledge and wisdom. And oh my goodness, these friends won't hear me. So you could let go of those social circles as well. Now, one thing about this is that as you let go of the 11th, you increase the 5th. So you're focused on your children, your creativity, your art, your entrepreneurship, maybe even focus on one particular romantic partner and feeling very at home in that relationship. So single Sagittarius may meet a very healing and feeling at home in a sexual romantic love story in the next 3 months. Saturn is governing this solstice, and he does that last winter solstice, this winter solstice, and next winter solstice, 3 in a row from the 4th house of home. Some of this can indicate you keep trying to look at your financial situation, your money, your earnings and possessions from the perspective of your childhood narratives, your home when you grew up, what it was like. But you almost might be feeling melancholic, alone, burdened, and heavy in the home. And you keep looking at what you need to do here financially to change that. And again, for the next 3 months, you're focused on those stories. Is it time to change my home? Is it time to move to a new home? Is it time to lighten up my load in and from my home? And it will require a focus on finances in order for that to be true, for you to accomplish that. So Akate means you're at a thresholds, a triple thresholds moment of choice, which way to go. And the triple goddess thresholds is in the house of secrets, back end deals, and negotiations, and self-undoing. And your dreams at night and your meditation. So yours is a very soulful, deep letting go with Saturn in the 4th house. Some of it's your childhood wounds, especially mother, but a deep release and surrender is happening for some of you here at a deep spiritual level in a moksha spiritual liberation manner. However, we also see snipping, cutting, and severing in the house of career and reputation and social standing. Let me be really clear. This is not just a house to do with my job and my corporate life or my career success. It's what are you? I'm married, I'm widowed, there's a house of weddings, it's the house of divorces, only in the sense the whole public is knowing about it. And so there can be a snipping of a standing in your life. I was married and no longer, I'm getting separated or divorced, for example, or you may be cutting away from a job as well. Mercury, the Lord of the house of marriage, in detriment is in the house of you. You're thinking a lot about your long-term committed love story if you have one. Okay. And you may be thinking also of cutting, severing, and ending and snipping away from a relationship or a marriage, either one. A relationship, a marriage, or a career situation you don't find tenable anymore. It's time to change it. And the next 3 months, you may be looking at the timing of that more strategically. When is the best time to cut and sever, snip at a crossroads moment? And you're taking a deeply soulful approach. Right, a deep interior inspection in your solitude of this crossroads energy that you face in money, career, and primary relationship. And home, because your relationship is squared by Saturn in the home. Is it fun anymore, you and your partner? Alrighty, December's solstice is happening on the 21st. It's going to be an ingress of the sun into Capricorn. I know it says 1 degree. I had to advance the chart. So every year Capricorn has this time. Every Capricorn sun, moon, and rising will routinely feel the ascent of light in the sign of them. You guys feel better as the light increases every year. December 21st to March the 19th, 20th. This is your time of year where you begin to lighten up a lot. Get your mirth back on, get your Randy Pan horn, hooves and goat horns going. You begin to feel more alive in this time of year. And so this is your time of year to lighten up. Now, Capricorn, the ascent of light is accompanied by strategic Athena. She's like the goddess of law and also knowledge and wisdom. And she just seems to be like a Mensa in people's charts. It's your Mensa brain is alive with strategy, and you're looking at everything in your life, relationship, home, career, children, everything from a very strategic vantage point in the next 3.5 months. Okay. Well, 3 months until third week of March. So you are a strategy genius at this point. You've got strategy and wisdom and knowledge to apply liberally to your life. You all notice that Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So last solstice, this solstice, and next solstice, he's in Pisces. It has to do with this neighbors, neighborhood, short distance travel, skills-based learning and teaching, matters to do with your social media environment, siblings, especially a younger one, but siblings, aunts and uncles, cousins are focalized for you at this time of year. So this extended family network becomes a part of this season for you. Just now, last solstice, this solstice, next solstice, right? It's going to change, but that's how these solstices have been working. My partner's a Cap Sun, and he's with his extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews, etc. This time of year, yet again, last year as well. So if you want to consider as well that you might want to do something that's a written project, and you want to have the discipline and endurance and structures for that, you can do that. And you may structure a written project or a communications project or a marketing selling project very well in the next 3 months. You have to let go. South Node bending. It's time to release, surrender, and let go of something in your 10th house of work. And so you could let go of a work goal, a dream, a path. You may let go of something to connect it to your reputation that everyone knows you for, and it's time to release that as well, so that you can expand into the 4th house of home. Rahu can represent a foreign home, a foreign place for your home, but you want to find a healing to the wound of your home. You've been wounded about where you live in your home for since 2019 when Chiron ingressed here. You're done by 2027, but there's a wound of the home, stories of your home, and you're dealing with that as well. And this is how you can increase your focus on healing that wound, right, over the next 3.5 months as you surrender and release something to do with your reputation. Now, we also have Atropos, the snipper, in the 9th house of God. You may snip away from a spiritual path, a spiritual belief, a spiritual ideology. This is a house of higher education. You may snip away from school endeavors. It's a house of legal matters. Let them go. It's a house of foreign countries. Snip away from those countries. It's a house of third marriages. Snip away from a third marriage if you're in one. And this is also flowing as well, this Atropos, to the actual solstice. And you've got this one. You're the one with the sun in your sign. You make the choices. You call the shots. It's not happening to you. It's happening through you. You'll notice that you need to understand you're at a triple thresholds, crossroads, energetic. A fork in your road has emerged. It has to do with what your long-range goals and dreams and wishes are for your life. This is, yes, you can say it's a fork in the road regarding earnings and career path, and you may let something go, or friendship circles and groups of belonging. But deeper than that, this is your long-range planning, your future orientation, your wish fulfillment for your life. And some of those wishes and dreams are being a crossroads threshold energetically and snipped from the house of Dharma. What's your true purpose? And you're looking at snipping away any goals and dreams and wishes in the next 3 months that aren't in alignment with the deepest dharmic purpose of your life. And lastly, with this strategic Athena, she's like an AI. She's like a Mensa. She's like Spock. And I've experienced her, guys. I can tell you in thousands of clients' readings, she is very mental. And so you can make these decisions from a very non-emotional space. However, caveat, Moon with the snipping in the 9th house can show some emotional comportment energetically happening around, the moon is about to move into the South Node, some emotional surrender and release about relationships at our 9th house, your guru, your guide, your mentor, your therapist, or your third marriage environment. And that looks like some of you may be releasing a long-term committed love that you would consider like my third, like long-term committed partnership. It's ruled by Mercury, right? And Mercury is here in the house of far off distant shores. Maybe some of you want to let go of a relationship that's in a faraway shore, etc., or with someone from a faraway shore. Okay, so that's what I've got for you. In the comments, let me know how it goes. If you ever want to remind yourself, come back here 2 or 3 months from now, let me know. Love to hear back from you. 2 more signs to go. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. I have a story. I'm one of you, a rising. We have this story every year now. Every year of our life, we have a solstice energy, winter solstice in our 12th house. This is like where we go inward into the darkness of our time and solitude alone. Tip, Aquarians, use Christmas solstice, kind of 21st of the month of December through to the 19th as an interior journey. It's time for your meditations, your alone time, experiencing downtime from the world, from life itself. If you need to ashram out, cave away, this is the time where you have the most light ascending in the time of solitude, aloneness, and isolation. So routinely choose this time. I've routinely gone off to far off warm shores like Mexico during this time of year to be alone. And aloneness is powerful for you in this winter solstice 3 months ahead. But there is an ascent of light. You get light from alone. Athena, strategic knowledge and wisdom this time around, being alone. You want to write a book, you can conceive and write the book or the book proposal in this next 3 months in your alone time. The sun is in the house of solitude. Now, that aside, Saturn rules this, and last solstice, this solstice, next solstice, we have Saturn in a part of the sky that's about your money, earnings, and structures. He's a long game, he's a saver, he's savings. He's the one who helps you take a strategic, structural, cautious approach to financial gain and earnings and possessions. And he will be doing that until 2026. So next solstice as well, he's in place here. And he says, by being alone and in your down like cave time, you are able to structure the way you are going to make money in this year ahead. In these 3 months, you do a lot of planning. Last time this happened, I incorporated. I knew I had to figured out I needed to incorporate. By my middle of March, I found an accountant. I was starting the process. So this is exactly the kind of thing this is like, but you can strategize to let go of addictions and bad habits and patterns, substance misuse disorders, etc., because Saturn helps you contain them. And there's a strategic letting go or structuring around bad habits and patterns, what things you ingest in your mouth, and food style as well. The setting of letting go, the bending of the node of fate, this south bending in the 9th house, third marriages, let go. Situations with foreign countries and foreign lands, publishing and book publishing, release and let go. Letting go of situations to do with your spiritual faith and belief, let it go. Higher education, release and let it go. The next 3 months, you must surrender, release, and let these things go. To focus in the 3rd house of writing, communicating, teaching, social media, short distance travel. This is far off travel. Far off lands and pilgrimages, let it go. You can travel domestically. You can teach and learn. You can write and you can communicate. You can market and sell. You can be a social media beast in the next 3 months, because that's where the North Node says focus, where the South Node says let this stuff up here go. A lot of focus on aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews can come off of this next 3 months as well, especially the sibling one younger than you. Now, we have to see we're at a triple thresholds goddess crossroads energetic with Hecate, the witch, sitting perched up in the top of our 10th house. We are at a turning point in our career and reputation matters. We must make a decision on which road to travel. At the same time, the snipping of Atropos is in the 8th house of chunky money, inheritances, money we get from bank loans, mortgages, inheritances, other people's money, shareholding money, money from our career path if we make ad revenue or royalty income. And there is something that needs to snip here, something that needs to be released, and it connects money and career dots. Okay. I'm not sure what I'm releasing here. Maybe one form, maybe my Patreon community, I'll shut that down. I love my Patreon community. I'm just making something up. But which area of sort of residual or more passive income might I be removing from my career story? Possibly something. With the moon here, there can be a focus on a lot of emotion around this letting go and the snipping and ending as well. And the sun is the ruler of your your relationship to your client, audience, marketplace, and significant long-term committed love. And so when the sun is in the 12th house every year, you reflect on your strategies and your this time strategy, but you reflect on that part of your life, right? That will be a part of your solitude and your inner reflection during this next 3 months. And that's what I've got for us as Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. When we have a crossroads moment in the 10th house, the last I'll say, we may not be choosing because we made a choice, but opportunities emerge to present us with a choice to go in this direction or that direction. So if emergent opportunities come, it will impact your financial matters, but in a positive way. It is a mini trine that's forming. It's full of positive energy, and it could allow for you as well to secure some new money from far off foreign lands, audiences, and shores in a way that requires a triple crossroads decision-making power, yet at the same time, for the most part, looks extremely auspicious. And finally, a Pisces sun, moon, and rising sign. So first thing we might want to talk about is the sun every year is solstice time will increase his light in your 11th house. It's a social house. And maybe some Pisces just find themselves every year, December 21st to March through to March 19th or so, being extremely social, hanging out with friends, increasing the light of social time with other people. So you may also reorient your dreams, goals, and wishes for your life each year at this time and really aim for what is true and right for you. And that just continues to be true. You're more strategic now around those friendship circles and groups. You're more strategic regarding your longer range dreams and goals because strategic Athena is with the sun. And as you focus on the strategic measures of these elements, you'll notice that the South Node is here asking you to release and surrender reliance on money that doesn't belong all to you. If you've been living off of a pension, living off of your inheritance, living off of money from your spouse, living off of funds from, government subsidies or something, money that's shared with others being your main resource, it's time to let it go. Like, yes, it's been true for a year and a half to let that money reliance go, but now it's even more intense. So releasing that money that you rely on from other people and continually understanding that even if it seems like it's hard to release that, you're going to find it takes you into more light and ascendancy in your long range goals, plans, and dreams, and also your career gains. For your career gains are in the 11th. So becoming less reliant on money sources that are not created by you in your career or your reputation space. Also, you notice the increases here. You want to heal a chironic wound around your money, your earnings, and your resources that you've been feeling since 2019. The North Node Chiron is here. House, can you be at home in the way you make money, earn money? Can you make and earn money more from your home? Maybe, but you're going to increase your financial success, and you'll see how to do that more strategically by letting go of reliance on other people's monies and creating more of your own. Now, because every solstice, Saturn is going to be somewhere, and he's the ruler of the solstice. This is Saturn in the house of you. Last solstice, this solstice, next winter solstice, Saturn in the house of you means that you have your eye on the ball. You are the decider. You are the masterful sage and the authority one. You have figured out what you want because you are Yoda. You are sage-like wisdom. You are Obi-Wan Kenobi. So as you look at this sky from the vantage point of a sober-minded realism that Saturn gives you, and a backbone and sort of a discipline and structured energy, you say to yourself, I am going to make the changes in a structured, measured, cautious way to align more with my long range dreams and goals and my career gains strategically as I release some reliance on other people's money. Now, what about this energy of snipping and the crossroads? Well, the scissors of Atropos, the snipper, is in the house of marriage. And it indicates some of you may end a marriage, or the marriage may come to an end, or a long-term committed love story, or the way you approach your audience, clients, and marketplace. Now, if you're not with someone, of course, you can't end something that doesn't exist, but maybe how you could end a significant relationship, even an important friendship, or it may end itself, right? Snipping of the thread of fate. It's time to separate and end in some situation from some significant other. But you have a backbone. and you're wise and you're authoritative and you're realistic about it all, perhaps. And at the same time, this snipping may happen for some of you, and it could be your audience, your marketplace, your client. You want to end the way you relate to them, sure. But the snipping is happening in the next 3 months. It's baking in a story through to mid-March, third week of March. But you also have a triple thresholds goddess crossroads moment. Which way should I go? Which way should I go? In your ninth house of God. This is Dharma. This is your alignment with purpose. This is your true north. This is foreign places and foreign shores. This is visas and passports. This is pilgrimages. This is higher education, crossroads moments. Is it time to go back to school? Is it time to move to another country? Is it time to get that visa or end that visa? Is it time to lean into deepest purpose? This is legal matters. This is bureaucratic red tape. And you may be presented with legal matters and bureaucratic red tape matters that require a thresholds decision making. The sun is a ruler of your sixth house of health. The sun in the 11th house may ask you to look at your health in a strategic way, to put your health in alignment with your long-range dreams and goals for your life. Or may ask you to spend some money that you're earning in the caretaking of your health. And finally, the sibling that is one older than you belongs to the 11th house. And every year that sibling may, if you have a sibling one older, may be more on your radar, right? More at having your attention for some reason. And that sibling is connected to a very strategic goddess. And you may rely on a sibling one older than you for strategic guidance, advice, support, and help. Indeed, a sibling two older than you, should you have one, is in the house of a triple thresholds goddess. And three older than you, the 7th house, is where the snipping is happening. So a lot of sibling 1, 2, and 3 older are in the gameplay for you in the next 3 months. If you have them, right? You know, Saturn leaves here forever, right? Ever. Goodbye, Saturn, for 30 more years in February 2026. And until then, you know, he dips out here again in the summer, a third week of May, I think, to September 1st. So you're going to get rid of this more heavy energy that Saturn's giving you, but you should realize at the highest level, this is opening you up to being Saturnian. And Saturn gives us great gifts over time. He's Chronos, a chronicator. So you want to embody this wisdom, mastery, and authority that you've got now because it's being gifted to you. And it's like you're adulting up in your life, Pisces. Okay, we adult up our natal Saturn returns. We adult up when Saturn moves to the house of our sun, moon, and rising. And it's for you moons, it's your sati sate. It's really the apex of a 7-year story, a crucible that can bring greatness, but can also feel like a hardship. And so this is a time for you to own the Saturn. And I only want to reinforce that because this solstice this year, last year, and next year is governed by you holding hands with Saturn. And the decisions you make now will impact your life over the next 30 years. So really take this a lot more seriously. What are your long-range dreams and goals for your life? How can you move into more dharmic alignment, and what crossroads choices must you make? How is this a relationship that you're in, or relationships that are you're in, or your clients and audience relationships needing to end, cut, snip, and sever because you need to move forward into a deeper sense of alignment with your values, goals, and long-range dreams and purpose? Yeah, you got the gist. So that's my lecture for you. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Recording this for my Patreon community on December 20th. They're going to get this today. You're probably going to get it on the 21st. Sometimes they get content a week or a month before you guys get it. It's always ad-free early access over there on my Patreon community. And I have up to 3 Zoom calls a month. So come join me. It's all in my description box below. Everything you need to know about me, what I'm doing, and how you can be a part of it. Thanks for listening. I appreciate all of my regular followers. Thanks for being a part of my tribe. Have a wonderful solstice. Try the technique I gave you. I think I'm going to whip up a short today just to throw it out there to tell you guys how to use this Coolio technique I just learned, okay, to manifest something in the new year. Ciao, ciao.